I didn't grow up shooting guns. I had tried to talk my father into sending me to the Valley Forge Military Academy when I was a kid, and only because of movies, because of war movies. There was something about Vietnam movies, Platoon, Apocalypse Now, Deer Hunter, where I thought there was something these soldiers had, that this understanding about life that I wanted to have. There was something in their eyes. I don't know, there's just something I was always fascinated with, and every time I could talk to a Vietnam vet, I would ask them a million questions. And I actually fell in love with the training of an M4 machine gun. We never trained with live ammo for the A-Team. In this movie, I did. The shoot of A-Team was long. It was a 6-month shoot, and we had 2 months prep or a month prep. So I spent every second I wasn't on set training. You know, none of it was in the movie. None of it. I don't even think I shot anything in the movie. I shot like once inside a train station. Now I know what it's like to shoot a sniper rifle. And I really loved the aspect of a Western-like story in a war setting, and that it's a character study. It felt a lot like Unforgiven to me in many ways. Your hero who's conflicted, who is not very verbose, all of it is probably going to be in the eyes, that kind of thing. Dealing with a family life, what he does for a living, and then going out in country to do something. He's in a way a killing machine. At that point, the only way I was going to get it made is if I said I would do it. Chris Pratt was always the guy in my mind who I thought would have been perfect to play Chris. He's much bigger, and he just, to me, looked like Chris to me. I mean, I sat across from his father, Wayne, who just said, you know you're half the size of my son. And there's no, and you don't sound a goddamn thing like him, so I don't know how you're going to do it. Clint just happened to be reading the book recreationally while he was shooting Jersey Boys. So I called Clint on a Friday. Now, I had auditioned for Clint Eastwood movies since Flags of Our Fathers. I put myself on tape. I put myself on tape to play the Irish priest in Gran Torino. And I put myself on tape to play J. Edgar's lover, which Armie Hammer killed, by the way, and was right. But I remember that was the closest I got. For some reason, I always had this idea that I was going to work with Clint Eastwood. I know that sounds crazy, but I just had this feeling. And when that didn't happen, I thought, oh, man. So I called Clint on a Friday, and I said, hey, Clint. And he said, yeah, I'm reading this sniper book, and I like it, yeah. Why don't you call me on Monday and we'll talk about it. I said, okay, Clint, I'll call you Monday. And then Monday came around, called him, watched Unforgiven over the weekend just to get rejuiced. It was a very short conversation, and he just said, all right, let's make this fucker. And that was it. You know what I did? I have to say, I cried a little bit. I mean, come on, it's Clint Eastwood, it's pathetic, but I did. And he and I got along like right off the bat. I felt so comfortable with him. And I always thought, because you always see these guys walk in movies, and I always thought, God, he walks like my dad. His hands were always sort of very loose by his sides as he walks. My dad did the same thing. Matter of fact, I had just went to Walter Reed when I got the call that Chris was murdered. We had just shown Silver Linings to a bunch of vets there, which is so crazy. People who aren't really familiar with the plight of a vet, seeing this movie, will think twice the next time they see a vet walk past them. You're often in those airports. It's so interesting. It's like, and there's just some guy sitting in the bar and you think, what's his story? And the game's on, it's another day, and you don't even realize where this guy just came from. And the fact that he just can't come home yet. Somebody who has gone through it, who feels isolated and alone, could look at the story of this guy and think, oh, wow, I can relate to this guy's story. If we could tick both of those boxes, total success.